So team, just finished shooting winners and losers with Zach and Joe, and it is action-packed, a lot of personal takes in there, but wanted to take a breath before we jumped in to plug our loyal sponsors Manscaped. And if you want 20% off Manscaped's stellar products, then use the discount code on screen right now or visit the link in the description below. Without further ado, here it is, our take on the European Super League. Hello Team FD and welcome back to Winners and Losers, where we usually take a look at the highs and lows from Premier League football from the weekend just past. But this morning we've all woke up, we've jumped on a producers meeting and football is melting around us, dissipating as we know it. Of course, we're going to touch upon the European Super League as well. Not to mention, just before jumping on, Jose Mourinho sacked by Tottenham Hotspur. It's vintage Barclays. And joining me is two vintage presenters. It's Joseph Tomlinson and it's Zach Jellab. It feels a bit redundant to ask, but how was your weekend, chaps? Zach?
It was alright. It was okay until about 6 o'clock last night. And then football changed forever. That's how it feels anyway. Jesus.
All hell broke loose indeed, Joe.
Oh, mate, yeah, it was. You know what? I had a great weekend until that moment, until the moment broke midway through the Manchester United game, and that's what annoyed me the most. It's actually not, but I was genuinely lost my head during the United game. I couldn't even concentrate on the football.
I'd watched Celtic lose in pathetic fashion to Rangers. Then this news came out. I might have to get invested in something like badminton. I'm not sure. Anyway, let's crack on with the talking point. And it is, of course, the formation of the European Super League, which is potentially the biggest change to the game as we know it for the best part of a century. It is effectively the mega clubs trying to hijack our beloved game, but we'll try and keep it, objective where possible as well. We're going to go through this in a sort of stage-by-stage fashion and try and outline things like what is it, who's in it, what are people saying, when did it happen. Let's start with a very basic explanation of the competition. Because, of course, the European Super League is a league that will have 20 participating clubs, 15 founding ones, with 5 other clubs qualifying for it on a season-by-season basis. That's the current understanding of it. It's effectively a rival to the Champions League. And we're now in a funny situation, aren't we, where we have 3 Champions League semi-finalists that have signed off to effectively destroy the competition in its current format. The clubs will, of course, be playing midweek, with competitions continuing to compete in their respective national leagues. The ESL was keen to stress that, although the national league's also keen to stress that you wouldn't be welcome should you go through with this. So an absolute cluster. And yes, the top 3 in each group, because it would be the 20-team division, would be split into two divisions of 10. The top 3 in each group would qualify for the quarterfinals, with the teams in 4th and 5th playing in a 2-legged playoff for the 2 remaining spots. And then from then on in, it's a little bit like the Champions League, 2-legged affairs until a ESL, king is crowned. Oh, right. Now we've got that out of the way, let's have a look at who's in it. And I want to discuss with you boys, because I've been talking for quite long enough now, whether you think these founding members deserve to dine at the top table of European football from your perspective. We've got Milan, Arsenal, Atletico Madrid, Chelsea, Zach, keep your lips sealed, Barcelona, Inter, Juventus, Liverpool, Manchester City, United, Real Madrid and Tottenham Hotspur. Right, let's start then with, I suppose, the 6 Premier League clubs. And I imagine it's come out, hasn't it, that Manchester United and Liverpool have been the driving force when it comes to Premier League clubs to establish this division. Joe, might as well start with your club and then let's make our way through to Chelsea.
Oh, I mean, shameful. Shame on Manchester United for signing up to the European Super League. And do you know what? I don't want to even call it the European Super League. I'm tired of calling it that already. It's not the European Super League. There's 56 countries playing professional football in Europe. 3 countries have signed up to the European Super League. England, Spain and Italy so far. The Germans are coming out and announcing it, and I imagine the French are going to as well. So let's stop calling it the European Super League, because it's absolutely not at the moment. It's the 3-team Super League. Absolutely pathetic. Manchester United should be ashamed. Like Gary Neville said on Sunday Night Football yesterday, it's a club built out of the workers, and we're selling it down the river here. Liverpool should be just as equally as ashamed. Manchester City and Chelsea, from the reports I've read, have kind of been backed into a corner. Manchester City's owners don't need any more money. Roman Abramovich doesn't need any more money. No wonder that Arsenal and Spurs have signed up. Absolutely useless on the field at the moment. I'm not surprised Tottenham in the slightest have bitten the hand off. The stadium repayments, the club's not doing well domestically, not doing well in Europe. Arsenal, I lose my head with Arsenal. Watched them yesterday, draw against Fulham, and we're going to cage them off and not be able to have proper competition amongst those sides. I'm already losing my head here. But, I look at Arsenal, Man City and Spurs. None of them have ever won a European Cup. 0 European Cups between them. So how are they getting into this Super League nonsense? There's 15 clubs that should have been in there for European pedigree above those 3. I'm trying not to lose my head here, but it's absolutely disgraceful.
Zach, what was your initial response to it?
I'm just shocked. Half of the reason that the Champions League is so special is that you have to earn your right to be there. You have to, over a course of 38 games in a season, perform so well that you're one of the top 4 teams in the country. And even then, if you're the 4th place team, you might have to battle it out depending on what the winner is on the previous competition. And so the fact that there are now just going to be 6 clubs that just make it every single year, there's literally no point in playing domestic football. You don't
from a
get
Premier League perspective, you're talking about, yeah.
From a Premier League perspective, yeah, you don't get anything apart from maybe winning the league. Right, if you there's a theoretical world, there's a legitimate world where one of these teams could be, say, relegated in the Premier League and still be playing in European competition with the world's best teams. It makes no sense.
But that now can't happen. That now can't. It would be physically impossible to happen.
They're
going to walk into the Premier League with £300 million more than anybody else every single season and get relegated. It won't happen.
Financially, it's unreal, and that's all it comes down to is this money.
For sure.
Is it this crazy world that Real Madrid and Barcelona are posting about how they're suffering these huge debts and owing so much money, and suddenly an idea has come that here's a way that we can make sure that we are earning the most amount of money from it. I mean, it's even to the point of like you look at the case of Arsenal and even United and AC Milan, the guys that are in the Europa League, and they are so frustrated over the fact that even if they win the Europa League, they make nowhere near as much money as progressing from the group stage of the Champions League. Yeah. And it's all about this money, and it's all about making money for them and keeping their dominance. They don't like the idea that a Leicester City or Aston Villa, West Ham or whatever can just have a half decent season and then make their way to the Champions League.
I think it's a really good point you made about a lot of clubs beforehand were running as if they were too big to fail, right? Barcelona, £1 billion worth of debt. Of course, Real Madrid unable to sign any Galacticos last summer. Juventus were apparently tasked with finding around £100 million by the end of June. Inter's owners are an absolute shambles. And AC Milan, although had a bit of a renaissance this term, have been non-existent in terms of being a European force for how many years now? At least 4 or 5. And let's dig into those finances a little bit more then, because each club would reportedly get €350 million for signing up. And the group leading the effort had entered into discussions with JP Morgan Chase to raise financing for the project, if you're wondering at home where all of this money was coming from. And, one question has been bandied about on Twitter, because it feels like it's happened overnight, doesn't it, is when exactly did this happen? And according to documents reviewed by The Times in January, plans for the Breakaway League had actually gathered pace since last summer. So obviously these secret chats have been ongoing for quite some time now, which gives it a little bit more oomph than people just saying, they're using this to get favourable terms in the Champions League once more. Like, this has been a long time in the offing, hasn't it? And yeah, I think just top clubs have basically taken advantage of all the uncertainty in this post-COVID landscape, haven't they? To forge a new path for themselves, which would essentially secure their financial future, but throw uncertainty on everyone else. So, Joseph, you've been on Twitter all morning as well. What is the rest of the world saying about this? How have they received this news?
Do you know what I think is really interesting? Is that I cannot remember in my lifetime as a football fan a piece of news that has been so widely condemned by football as a whole. You know, even VAR, especially when it launched, had it sort of like people say, no, this needs to come in, and still does have supporters, and certain elements have still got supporters. This, I have not seen a single person coming out in support of. I haven't seen a single interview with a chief exec that's been involved in this, coming out publicly and willing to put his neck on the line as to why he's doing it. It's utter cowardice at this stage from the people at the top of the game. It really is, because we've seen the likes of Agnelli walk from UEFA. We've seen Woodward walk from UEFA. All of the clubs have now walked from the ECA, haven't they? Pretty much all of the founding 12 anyway. And that is just pure cowardice. Pure cowardice. Like Hamill said there, the timing of this is an absolute disgrace. To do this in the middle of a global pandemic when world football is struggling is awful. And they know what they're doing as well when they reveal this kind of news when there's no fans in the stadiums, to let them know how real match-going fans feel about this. I read a little thing from Dan Rohn earlier where people within the ESL chats had called match-going fans and more historic fans of the club legacy fans. I've never heard a more disrespectful term for a real match-going fan as to call them a legacy fan, and that more futuristic fans will get on board because they'll get to see top team play top team week in, week. That will become dry quickly, by the way. I don't want to see Man United versus Real Madrid 5 times a season, thank you very much. It will be boring. This closed shop franchise concept is so dull. It's so dull. The best elements of the Champions League are when you get to see teams upset and overcome problems. Like
for Joe, like Chelsea have never played Real Madrid, right? Chelsea have never played Real Madrid. Like that's like incredible. And that they're finally going to face off in the Champions League. They're finally going to take on each other. And now with the plans, they'll be playing each other minimum maybe 3 or 4 times every single year. Like, it's not fun. It's not. You're losing the credibility of football. You're making it about how can you make the most money. And also just like for the fans, there isn't a possible way that they can go to every single game. They're not going to be able to travel to Spain to watch them play, then come back to England to watch them play, and then go back to Italy to watch them play the week after. It's just not possible. And it really is just about like monopolising the kind of market that they have. The fact that 15 clubs can't even get relegated from their own league is insane.
Yeah, and a lot of these 15 clubs aren't even running themselves properly in their respective divisions. They're like close to going under. Yeah. They've accrued all this huge debt. And we're expected to believe that these are the bastions of like how the game should look in 10, 20 years' time or whatever. I mean, take care of your own shop before, you try and set up a new one. It's infuriating. And like Zach just said, I don't think fans have been considered at any stage in this whole process. I mean, it is interesting that more member clubs are yet to be announced, aren't they? So there's 12 so far. There's 3 expected to be announced as the week goes on. And 5 people will, of course, be... I say, of course, it'll probably change at some point, won't it? Competing to play the other 15 on a rotational basis with each season passing by. We have heard that Dortmund and Leipzig have also rejected offers, and they want to crack on with the UEFA Champions League reforms, which were expected to be announced imminently.
They've been announced, by the way, and they ain't good either. They ain't no good either.
Those reforms as well, like they play into the fact that what they're doing. Like it's so much harder for, say, like Leicester City, for instance, to get into. I'm pretty sure with the way it works right now, Arsenal would have a better chance of making the Champions League than Leicester City, just due to their past history and legacy, because they seem to love that word so much. And rather than, say, a team that's had a good season and made it into a Champions League place like West Ham, Jesus Christ, good luck for getting into the Champions League next season. It's a real shame, because their way it's nowhere near as the level of the Super League, but it's still like not great.
Well, I've got the new proposed Champions League format in front of me here, actually, that UEFA have suggested that would become that would take over in 2024. Effectively, it would see 36 teams instead of 32 teams. There'd be new spots for elite clubs that have failed to qualify. This is where your Arsenals and your Tottenhams start to come into it. It would obviously be one league instead of groups, so you would no longer have Group A, B, C, D. It would be a little bit like the Super League style of it. The best 8 teams in that league would then go through to the knockouts, and every club would be guaranteed 10 games. Okay, so you know how Manchester United went out of the group stage, obviously only played, 6 games with it this season? They would be guaranteed a minimum of 10. Which adds already extra fixture. But the UEFA Champions League reform suggested is effectively the Super League, but
not as extreme, but yeah,
not as extreme, because obviously there would still be the ability to be promoted into it and relegated out of it. But things like new spots for elite clubs that failed to qualify is very Super League-y. So,
and this was Gary Neville's problem, wasn't
catastrophic.
When he was saying that a separate body needs to be brought in to provide balance and checks. Effectively, the big teams are leveraging their power, their standing against UEFA and other organisations to just make anti-competitive terms, right, by design. And that is the essence of the game. That is why football has stuck around and been, the number one sport in the world for so long, because it doesn't happen very often, but these underdog stories, these fairy tale stories, they can happen within the current rules and regulations, and it does seem like they're trying to seek assurances that they don't. Anyway, clearly we can't keep up with the news that is unfurling this morning. Jose gone. Champions League announcements came out while I was scripting this, and Euro Super League rumblings continue to crack on. I think we should probably park it there, but we are going to change our schedule all week long so we can maintain pace with the news that is coming out. I think Joe is going to react tomorrow to the Monday Night Football show, which is obviously happening tonight, which is set to be explosive. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Did you have anything else to say, guys? Quite unstructured. I want you to feel like you've said your bit.
I think we should maybe just touch on Jose, because the club have officially announced it now that he's obviously been sacked. I'm sure that compensation package is going to be monstrous, but I wanted just to touch upon the timing of it. Really, 9 days out, is it, or 7 days out now? Whatever,
brutal.
from a cup final. Absolutely brutal. And they've appointed Ryan Mason as the interim coach,
and Chris Powell,
I think as a duo almost. And I think it's bizarre timing, isn't it?
For sure.
I think maybe Levy was panicking that if he won the cup, would he then find it harder to fire him from that position? But I think they probably stood a better chance with Jose in charge than with not having Jose. I don't know what you two think, but it's bizarre timing. Even though we didn't like him and this Tottenham squad, it feels like a mess.
Some of the supposed rumours that have been said, and we should say they are rumours.
Yeah, they've been disproven. They've been disproven, all this nonsense about him leaving because of the ESL, yeah.
Well, that would make the most sense, wouldn't it? But it is. It's very, very odd timing, and kind of like all the fans kind of wanted him gone. They've seen the ESL news, and Levy's gone, all right, mate. I know you're not happy with this, but here's some more news that might brighten up your morning, Spurs fans.
It can't be about the EFL Cup.
No,
surely it's got to be deeper. It's got to be deeper. But then it's but then also waiting 2 days after. Normally you do it then quite quickly after the game. They've waited a few days since Spurs played Everton and Giroud to sack him until all the game fixtures have been played.
So then getting their ducks in a row with the ESL, mate. Daniel Levy's had other priorities, clearly.
I think that is more what it is.
Surely they want Mourinho in the ESL.
And if they're guaranteed a position in the ESL now, which is, they're putting forward as the most desirable competition in world football, then their chances of getting Nagelsmann increased tenfold. And their finances are guaranteed to get rid of Jose, which is going to cost them an arm and a leg, right? And to potentially bring in a new manager. So yeah, I think it's maybe the big clubs are being a bit more bullish on this sort of thing. Maybe this is one of many decisions we'll see big clubs make over the course of big, confident, bold decisions, that is, over the course of the next few weeks, because they think 420 million guaranteed in the coffers next term.
Well, the next few days are going to be interesting. Look, Thomas Tuchel's got an interview, got his press conference today. Jurgen Klopp will be talking before Liverpool play Leeds this evening.
Bielsa.
Bielsa. Like a lot of managers. I mean, players will be asked about it, and whether they even knew about it is another question.
But these are guys that love football. I think
exactly.
I don't think they want to comment on it. Otherwise, it will become a criticism.
Oh, for sure. Like we've heard the comments of Jurgen Klopp like back last year in November, saying like he playing. I think Joe mentioned earlier, playing Real Madrid would be boring every 10 times. It's not something that I think he supports, and the fallout could be quite interesting.
Yeah, quite clearly not interested in the essence of football. It is all about those P's. That's the end of the show. And like I said, we will be back and in force with regards to the ESL and any Champions League changes and just the general fallout from this red hot day of news. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you tomorrow. Make sure you check out ERU as well in an hour's time. Goodbye.